If only it were this easy to define where one bit of the Earth's history ends and another begins. Traditionally, this has been done with hindsight. Now scientists are itching to declare we're in a new epoch, but they can't agree on when it began.
The group that comes out with the date gets to define time itself.
Welcome to the Time Wars. Geologists love to divvy up time, and that's what they've done for the entire history of the Earth. So from the year dot to now, 4.54 billion years later, that's divided up into units of time called eons, then into eras, then into periods, and finally into epochs and ages. These chapters of time mark turning points in the Earth's history. But to define when each began, we need some physical indicator, evidence of a radical change across the planet. If you like, a geological bookmark. And one of these can be found here, Dobbs Lynn in the southern uplands of Scotland. Millions of years of history have left signatures in these rocks, and we're going to check out a timestamp.
So Becky, we've arrived here at the Ordovician-Silurian boundary. In fact, your hand is actually sitting on the boundary.
I'm touching the boundary.
You're touching the boundary between two geological periods of time. So these rocks, these black mudstones, they were deposited on a seabed in very deep water. And when they were deposited, they were horizontal. They've been tipped up by tectonic processes. We do see a fundamental change in the animals that are preserved in the rocks. Over there, in those rocks, we find the fossil skeletons of animals that tell us it was in the Ordovician period of geological time. And then where your hand is, we have a sudden change in the graptolite fossil assemblage that tells us we're now in the Silurian period of geological time.
So it's beautiful, it's measurable,
yes.
And that's what you're looking for.
That's what we're looking for.
It was a colossal change in the Earth's atmosphere and oceans that shifted us from the Ordovician to the Silurian period 450 million years ago, and signalled by the before and after effects on the ancient creatures fossilised here. Now, fast forward through several more periods, epochs and ages. Officially, we've been in the Holocene epoch for the last 11,000 years. But scientists now think we're in a new epoch, the Anthropocene, the age of humans.
What we're seeing at present is that the degree of change to the Earth system that's being conducted by humans is as significant as some of the really major changes to the Earth system in the geological record. No one species on planet Earth has ever done that in the whole history of our planet. So it's really fundamental. It's an enormous change.
For signs of our own involvement in history, you don't need to trek through a gorge in search of tiny creatures fossilised in rock. There's no missing our handiwork. The imprint we're leaving on the planet is big and bold. From clearing the land to make way for buildings like this, to creating the materials, concrete, plastic, that go into them, we're shaping every aspect of our environment. But while it might seem obvious to you and I that humans are dominating the globe, geologists need to agree that the changes we're forcing on the world are on a vast enough scale.
So for the last 500 years, science has made us individuals feel really insignificant. We start off with the Copernicus revolution, and guess what? The Earth isn't the centre of the universe, it's the sun. We now have cosmologists saying that actually our sun's rather small, and actually it's one of billions and billions in the universe. We then have the biologists coming in, and they say, guess what? Yeah, you're not special, and you're not there between animals and angels. No, guess what? You're just a smart chimpanzee with not very much hair. Great, thank you, Darwin. Now, what we're saying is that humanity is a geological superpower. We're currently having the same effect as plate tectonics or a meteorite impact.
A consensus is now growing that we have sufficiently secured our superpower status enough to warrant our own epoch. But that means another row is gathering momentum. So here's the point. When did we ditch the Holocene and welcome in the Anthropocene? Was it way back, more than 8,000 years ago, when humans were lopping down forests to make way for their farms? Or was it a bit more recently, in the 15th century, when the New World met the Old World, shifting plants, animals and disease around the globe? Some think the Industrial Revolution's a contender, which would bring the Anthropocene's birth into the 18th century. Or is the start date much more recent, the mid-20th century, when humanity's impact on the Earth reached epic proportions? What's needed is a moment in human history that leaves a strong and long-lasting signal that future geologists would be able to find. Some believe the first nuclear tests offer just that, a legacy of radioactive elements that will linger far into the future.
This is a really good signal that we get in the 1950s. It's something that we can recognise all around the planet, and also it's a signal that will persist because of those radiogenic isotopes. We know it's going to last for as long as 100,000 years, so it's a very, very good signal for future geologists.
Others think we need to go further back.
For me, we go 1 million years into the future and look back. The one thing that will always be there is how we change the evolution and the distribution of species around the planet, which started in the 16th century.
Ultimately, the real birth of a new epoch will be by a show of hands. It's due to go to a vote later this year.
Definitions have power, so actually saying we're in the Anthropocene epoch and we are the control on the Earth's destiny, I think is incredibly powerful.
If you've been happy in the Holocene, you may not want to be told that we're now in the Anthropocene. But just in case geologists decide that we are, happy new epoch.